Hello everyone, my name is Earl Kim 18 Doc, and I am going to tackle about Chapter 9, Collection Policies and Procedures. So for introduction, legal basis. The collection of a just death is backed up by the coercive power of law. The right of the creditor to collect a just death is provided in Article 2236 of the Philippine Civil Code. The debtor is liable with all his properties, present and future, for the fulfillment of his obligation. So for the legal basis, the creation of an efficient collection machinery is a necessary and legal undertaking. So it has, for its purpose, the preservation of the creditors' resources so they can be deployed to the benefit of everyone. It is necessary because the non-payment debts, whether by choice or circumstances, is unavoidable. So the legal basis is the foundation for data processing under the GDPR. It means that if an organization wants to process a personal data, so kailangan siya ma-identify og specific legal grounds for the processing. So, in addition to that, there are six options. First is you gave consent for a specific use of your personal data. Second is you have a contract with the organization. Third is the organization has a legal obligation. Fourth, you have a vital interest because your life is in danger. Fifth is the organization has a public task to perform. And lastly, it's in the legitimate interest of the organization. So, the importance of legal basis, laws are also needed to safeguard the personal information of an individual by ensuring data remain confidential, so secure and protected against misuse. So finally, a legal basis is need to guarantee the permanence, continuity, universality, and compulsoriness of civil registration systems. So there are some of the causes of non-payment and many of them unpreventable. So these are calamities like typhoons, earthquakes, floods, and fires. Second is unrealistic payment schedule, mismatching of loans usage versus loan term. Third is unproductive investment. So these are lavish and unnecessary outlays for luxurious offices, buildings, contraptions, and luxury vehicles. Fourth is unproductive expenditures. So these are fiestas or baptismal parties. Fifth is extended hospitalization without health insurance coverage. Six is large educational outlays. Seven is death of the family provider without life insurance coverage. Eight is product defects. Nine is non-compliance with warranties. And number 10 is constant breakdown and inefficient repair service. So, number 4 was the object of a passionate crusade of the late former Foreign Affairs Secretary and Senator Raul S. Manglapus, who advocated in his book Fiestas for Progress. It is a radical change in Philippine culture. So, Filipinos borrow heavily, mortgaging a substantial portion of their properties, and for the fiestas and lavish baptismal parties. So, number 5, extended hospitalization is one major cause of the dissipation of some private family fortunes. So, some entrepreneurs spend an entire lifetime accumulating assets only to lose all of them and even up owning more in one unfortunate tragedy. So, recently, with the aggressive expansion of PhilHealth, this might no longer be true as in number 7, death of the family provider, substantial losses could be avoided by the purchase of insurance products. Unfortunately, the level of insurance consciousness among Filipinos is still at its early developmental stage. For number 8, 9, and 10, or the lookout of the creditors. So care must be taken to ensure that these services are available and adequate. Banks who do not engage in selling but only finance car loans will not accredit or finance a car dealer. If its service department is not up to the standards, the car dealer's facilities are verified by the bank's technical personnel. So let's proceed now to the general collection policies. One of the primary factors that should be considered in the formulation of general collection policies is the need for immediate recovery of the credit granted. In the appliance industry, the interest rate is an effective 50% to 70% per year. So it is so by design because of A, the high cost of collection, motorized field collectors, and letter B, higher bad debts risk. So, installment of payments must be collected on time so they can be used to purchase new merchandise that will be sold for more profits. Slow collection will force an appliance company or any other supplier of credit to borrow heavily or more frequently, reducing its financing or overall income. So, in addition to that, a collection policy is the set of procedures a company uses to ensure payment of accounts receivables. Similar to the credit policy as a whole, the collection policy should be written and strictly followed. So, like a written credit policy, a collection policy serves as a window into the company philosophy as far as how credit and debt are treated. So further, strict compliance with the collection policy as it's written, so musugot siya nga sa ang business, mahimo siyang more streamlined. So wala siya ma-waste na time on deciding kanus and unsaon nila pag-respond sa certain death or situation. So there are 9 areas where general collection policies have to be formulated. So, number one is hiring of collectors. Under these are letter A, job requirements, letter B, protection against loss of cash collections through selective hiring and surety undertakings, and letter C is customer orientation. So, this is a precautionary measure. Number two is procedures in the handling of collections. So under these are collection for cash and other collection techniques. Number three, surcharges and penalties. Four is field motorized collection versus collection letters. Five is when to send motorized collectors or collection letters. Six, collection incentive program. 7. Insurance policy to be assigned by debtor. 8. Using service charges. And number 9 is the use of acceleration clause. So, generally, a collection policy systemizes the steps to taken or to recover amounts due prior to litigation. So, this includes when customers should be contacted, how they should be contacted or how disputes are resolved, when internal or external collectors are used to step up collection efforts, and when and whether to turn the account over to litigation or write off the debt. So once naka-decide na mo to formalize collection policy, is or like it must be decided whether a policy will be like formulated from scratch or whether the disparate pieces of the current collection structure can be melded into a cohesive outline. So let us now proceed to the hiring policies for collectors. So in appliance companies and other small and medium-sized supplies of credit, the job of a collector is almost always a dead-end job. So in Vroom's expectancy theory, an important behavioral science, particularly in the study of motivation. So, upward mobility or the chances for career advancement is very tight. especially in small enterprises where the owners nominate their own family members for managerial positions. So this situation will definitely not apply to large banks and multi-branch nationwide enterprises. And for the Vroom's expectancy theory, uh, it is stated that if an employee has high expectations as he joins an organization and later on he realizes that such expectations cannot be successfully attained, he loses his motivation. In many companies where upward mobility is limited, the job of a collector would surely be a dead end job. So, the hiring of high achievers such as summa cum laudes, graduates of top-notch from colleges and universities, so as collector in this type of company is definitely not a good idea. Such high achievers, once hired, like they would end up demotivated and underperforming in just a year or less. So their only alternative is to look for another employment opportunity and like in line with their career goals. So if this happens, the company will be placed at very serious disadvantage. So it has two reasons. One is the high cost of training replacement personnel, and second is the accounts left by the resigned employee will be temporarily neglected and might deteriorate. And in large financial institutions, the position of collector is truly an entry level position. So many top level or senior executives started their careers as collections or like collectors or loan clerks. So let us now proceed to the protection against loss of cash collections. In banks where the loans due are in large lump sum amounts, borrowers take the time to go to the bank and make their payment to the bank cashiers. So the installment customers are certainly willing to entrust this small amount to an authorized collector who would who could issue an official company receipt. So thus, field collectors are continuously exposed to large amount of cash in any regular day. In addition to that, there is an ever presented and continuing temptation to absent or like to depart with the money. So this unauthorized and illegal act of taking the company's cash collections is called defalcation in the appliance industry. So let us now proceed to selective hiring. So, if credit investigators strictly screen credit applicants for merchandise, 10,000 on the average, the company must also do the same in its hiring of new collectors. So, it is like preferable to hire collectors who have strong attachments to the community where the branch or district office is located. To protect the company, it would be wise to require the newly hired collector to put up a surety undertaking. So, a surgery undertaking is a document to be assigned by the parents, preferably our like close relatives who have stable jobs or enterprises. And as a sureties, it is better to have two. So they are principally liable and should the collector absent with collections. So they are not guarantors who are liable only if the resources of the principal or the collector have been exhausted and all legal remedies have been applied. And as sureties, they are principally liable and must pay as soon as the obligation arises. So, the recommended amount of the surety undertaking should be varied depending on the average cash collection handled in several days. Next is customer orientation as a precautionary measure. So it is best to educate the installment customer prior to the release of the merchandise. So they must be oriented on the mandatory use of company official receipts. So it is recommended that a short leaflet be provided to the installment customer with a statement using the following as a model. So pwede ka mag-ingon nga, thank you for your purchase. As an installment purchaser, you are considered as a valued customer. For your protection and convenience, we wish to advise you to use the following guidelines. So, kana siya, maga-depend na siya if like payment or repair service or complaints. So, dahil po na siya dito like designated place of payment. So, like indicate lang nimo your preferred place of like payment. So, na siya home, telephone number, work, and signature. So, designating a place of payment or like the collection, uh, it is useful because scheduling is facilitated and customers will have no reason to complain. And if they are confronted at work, a usually irritating experience for some. So let's now proceed to the last, which is handling of cash collection field. So this refers to field collections. So the company must require all collectors to remit all collections, cash or checks before a designated cut-off time. So like for example, if a branch store closes at 6 p.m., the cash collections must be deposited with the branch cashier or manager on or before 5:45 p.m. At that time, there will be a cash count and the collector's receipts are audited. So if there are accounts like that require long hours of travel, collectors should be required to schedule them in the early morning hours. So particular emphasis should be given to like Saturday collections. So if ang collectors are allowed to keep them overnight, including Sundays, the amount of cash in their possession would pile up. And on the weekend, there is always the temptation to like temporarily use the cash. So that's it, and we will now proceed to the confirmation. So irregular confirmation of past due accounts should be conducted every now and then. This could be done by the collection supervisor. For customers who occasionally make payments at the office, their ledger should be pulled out for the customers to review and confirm. So, like in remote areas, a surprise check would be of immense help. So, letters may also be sent to customers to confirm the accuracy of their ledgers. The letters should be very polite so as not to endanger the customer or collector relationship. Also, the letter should have some creative marketing message on new products or services. So, medium scale and large scale suppliers of credit have internal and external auditors who also confirms accounts receivables. So, these are done. However, periodically or semi-annually or annually, the above recommended confirmation of accounts is to be done by the branch office and on random basis. So, there are other collection techniques that compel installment customers to pay direct to the company. First is monthly payment tickets, payment by current dated checks. Second is direct bank payments. Third is salary deduction. And fourth is post-dated checks. So that's it for my part. Thank you so much for listening attentively. Once again, this is Earl Nikim 18 Doc. This is FM 201 Credit and Collection, Chapter 9, page 183 to 190. Thank you so much.